Yo, welcome back people to another episode of 5 Sounds 1 Sample. In this video I'm going to try and flip a sample for Eli Sostre. So you know what to do, stick around and I'll break down how I made this sample. So the first sound we have is this ROM 1A piano from Analog Lab. It's very gritty, has like a distorted flavour to it. So it sounds like this. So with these chords are stuck to like the harmonic minor, and it just gives it that nice dark tone that Eli Sostre always uses. So for that I use this Valve compressor and just use heavy lo-fi just to give it that warped effect. And then as usual a reverb, and then I've used this fake Leslie like tape saturation, and I've put the mix down a little bit, and it sort of just gives it that warped dark tone. And then after I did that, you can see I've exported it and then I've reversed it. And I've just pitched it up, and then I've just dragged from the back to the front just so it was on the same notes and same chords. And I've used this reverse technique as more like a riser and just builds an extra tension. But on top of that, I've used this spring reverb, just gives that nice airy sound and just gives it a nice tone to it. Then as I said, I want it to be like a sort of riser, so I've used this tremolator just to give it that pulsing warped effect. Low high just to cut out the lows, and then I've just used this shaper box to just pan left to right just to give more space. Then once that piano was made, I routed it to the second track here, as you can see, and then I've just slapped on a half time, so it just gives it like a slowed tone back in the background of the main original piano. Then I've just obviously EQ'd out a lot of lows because it was very muddy. So after using that version of that one sound, I've used another one where I've just sped it up and sort of like reversed it still, but I've used this automation here, as you can see, so it just adds another riser and just a nice feed back into the chord, sticking to sort of that dark gloomy tone that he likes to use. And all I've done with that is just cut out a lot of highs with this vintage plugin. So for the second sound I use is this Gospel Selena, and it's just like a string machine. Same sort of chords, just take out the accent note. And then again, with that sound, it's very gritty, has like a distorted, saturated feel to it, and just fits in with that dark, gloomy sound that obviously I'm going for. And then with that, obviously, I've just took out a lot of highs and lows, a lot of highs predominantly because it was very intense. I just wanted to cut them down. Then again, another fake Leslie, just got that dark, gloomy tone that I obviously said I'm going for. They're just a pulsing effect with a little bit mixed down on the shaper box, so it just rises up a little bit. And then I've got the same second sound, and I've just sped it up completely, and it sounds like this. Put it on the same chords, but it just gives it a higher, faster tone. And all I've done with that is just put a phaser on it just to give it a weird modularized effect. And then I had this heavy delay just to give it that nice long echo feel. Third sound I use is an electric pluck from Analog Lab. And then with the same sort of chords, I just add a little counter melody on top just to give that dark and slow vibe. And all I've added on that is just the default reels, just turn down the noise. And as usual, always EQ, and then I've used this like tape noise saturation sound that just gives it a nice stereo feel. With that sound, I didn't really want to do much with it. I feel like if I just chop that up and put it in, it's going to just make it a little bit too overcomplicated, so I kept that simple. And then a lot of these sounds have like violins playing in them, so I've just found this violin off Splice that sounds like this. And I feel like it works perfect as a counter melody and just gives that nice, slow, gloomy tone. Just feels very dark, and I love it. And all I did really with that is just heavily just EQ it. And then for the fifth sound, I've just used this perk loop and I sort of cut it so it sounds like this. And as you can see here, I've just EQ'd a lot, but it's just there in the mix. You can't really hear it when it's all playing, but it's just a little bit of just a texture. And as you can probably see here, I just left it nice and simple. I didn't go too crazy. I just feel like the layering and the way the chords are structured and like the rising effects just work perfect. Then after the sample is exported, I just brought it down 3 semitones just to make it a little bit more darker, and it sounds like this. So yeah, that's how it sounds. I can sort of like hear at the end in like a nice drum break that you could probably put into it and sound really nice. And as I always say, and can't stress enough, simple is probably sometimes the best things to do. If you're just layering and layering and not having a sense of why you're doing it, then it's just not going to work. Everything's going to be everywhere, and it's sort of going to be hard to just place drums over or an artist to use. So yeah, that's probably it for this video. And if anyone wants to see any like 5 sounds, one sample breakdowns for any other artist, then please let me know in the comments. You know what to do. Other than that, like, subscribe, follow my Instagram that's going to be on the screen, and I shall see you in the next one, people. Peace out.